But first, there was a brawl today at the New South Wales Bush Summit that said it all about our future. A verbal brawl, I'll show you some of it, between Nationals frontbencher Barnaby Joyce and Matt Kean, the Albanese government's top advisor on its disastrous shift to renewable energy. Now, after this brawl, I don't have any confidence at all in the government, of course. That's not new. And in Energy Minister Chris Bowen, that's not new in their handling of our electricity supplies. I mean, look, they've left us with massive bills and fresh warnings today of power shortages. But now, I can also say I have zero confidence in Matt Kean. Zero. In Kean, this former New South Wales Liberal Treasurer and climate alarmist who Bowen appointed this year to head his climate change authority. Well, what a joke that's turned out to be. Matt Kean is now hopelessly conflicted. How can he be both advising the government on what to do about renewable energy and also working for an investment fund making money off renewable energy? If that's not an apparent conflict of interest, I do not know what is. Now, of course, Kean says, look, there are procedures to deal with any conflict. He waves it aside. But can you imagine the uproar if this climate change authority was led instead by a coal mine owner or Gina Rinehart? Now, I'll show you now. She'd actually be far better. I'll now show you some of this brawl today at the Daily Telegraph Bush Summit between Barnaby Joyce and this Matt Kean. Remember Chris Bowen's hand-picked top advisor on the push to destroy our coal-fired power plants and replace them, they hope, with enough green energy? I want you to watch as Kean relies on a CSIRO report, which I will show you next is discredited, and somehow argues that nuclear power, which is fine for almost every other advanced economy in the world, is yet somehow wrong for Australia.
Nuclear is 3 to 5 times more expensive than firm renewables. That's what the CSIRO says. Take it up with the CSIRO.
The CSIRO is an Australian organisation.
That's right.
Look at
a trusted institution.
All the other countries are wrong.
Developed Wi-Fi, developed Bluetooth, helps our farmers with soil crops.
Finland's wrong, China's wrong, Russia's wrong.
Our farmers trust the CSIRO.
United States wrong.
That's good enough for me, and I trust them.
United Arab Emirates wrong. They're all wrong. We are the only smart ones. Chris Bowen, the CSIRO are the intelligent ones, and we are the only ones that step.
Barnaby, can I ask?
Just because you're talking doesn't help people lower their power bills in 20 years' time. We need to help people now, and it's renewables that will do that now.
Global facts.
Barnaby, during the 9 years, during the 9 years of the coalition government, did you try to get nuclear up in Australia?
All the time. And I could go through.
Why didn't it happen?
Because they say, the polling doesn't agree with
Who said that?
But you were the Deputy Prime Minister.
Scott Morrison said that to you.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, plenty there to get into, but most important, I am shocked that Matt Kean should be quoting that CSI report as a reason to ban nuclear power here. I mean, that alone tells me that he is either not serious or not informed. Now, like I say, that report has been widely criticised for reasons I've shown on my show before, but let me go through some of them again. Yes, this report does claim building a big nuclear power station is more expensive than wind and solar power, which have to be backed, of course, by some kind of power storage for when the wind doesn't blow, the sun doesn't shine. And it says, yes, indeed, it says a nuclear generator would take 15 years to build. Too late, it claims, to save us from the coming power shortages caused by stupidly destroying our remaining coal-fired plants. But how did it work out those costs? Answer, by fiddling the figures. For one, the CSIRO claimed or compared solar and wind power to nuclear power over just a 30-year period. And that is so misleading. Because after 30 years, a nuclear power station can keep going for maybe another 50 years, pumping out constant power at little extra cost. But after 30 years, wind and solar plants, they are finished. Batteries are finished at 15 years. They'd all have to be removed and replaced at enormous cost, which the CSIRO did not include in this comparison. But it gets worse. The CSIRO wildly underestimated how much electricity a nuclear plant puts out. And on the other hand, exaggerated how much wind and solar factories put out. It reckons a nuclear plant would operate for as little as half the time, and at most 89%. Obviously, that's a joke. I mean, in fact, the latest studies show nuclear generators tend to run at 81% of the time, and modern ones more than 90%. The CSIRO also claimed wind farms would pump out electricity for up to twice as long as studies that I've seen actually say. I mean, can you believe that? And what's more, the CSIRO is vague about what the backup for wind and solar would actually cost, because you need them when wind and solar don't work. And as I've shown you so often, the government tends to very badly underestimate that. Take the Snowy 2.0 scheme. Now it looks like costing 10 times what we were promised. The clean energy rollout, way behind and also over budget. And there's one last thing that makes Matt Kean an absolute goose for hiding behind that CSIRO report. That report says it would take us more than 15 years to build a nuclear plant. Too late, says Kean. Even if that's true, my tip is that by then we are desperately going to need that electricity, the way things are going. But how true is it? Last week, China said it would build 11 nuclear stations in just 5 years, not 15. So for Matt Kean to wave around the CSIRO report like it's holy gospel, garlic in front of the nuclear vampire, it's just a shock. No wonder we're in such a mess. How much? A big one. Today, the Australian Energy Market Operator, which is gung-ho for renewables, admitted we're now in trouble. We're not building enough green power that works. We'd be in real strife already if the New South Wales government hadn't rescued us by keeping the Eraring coal-fired power station going for another couple of years at enormous cost. And the AEMO boss today said everything must now go right with the government's plans or else.
It really does need to be delivered on time and in full so that we all have access to reliable electricity going forwards.
This is again a reminder that the whole system is in tatters and the government is needing everything that's been failing to suddenly miraculously work.
But really, there is only one test that you need to set the government to be able to work out if its green revolution is working out as planned, as promised. It's this: did the government actually meet this election promise to cut your electricity bills?
Reducing power prices by $275 a year.
2025, $275 a year.
$275 by 2025. We stand by that.
Total fail, totally clueless. Your bills instead went through the roof. So why on earth should anyone trust this government now or trust Matt Kean?